게임은 재밌으면 된다니까?
불멸의 전사 2.
Innovation here. Dream is like maybe a close second. I feel like TY comes out versus either of those players if Stats loses. But I personally am feeling Innovation here. If they want to send out like Dark, I'm like, this is just not the right time. You know, he's great.
It's like Professor
MVP.
Oak's like, this is not the right time to do this.
Yeah, exactly. There's a time and place for everything, but not right now.
Not this game.
I mean, Dark beat Stats in the Star League Finals. He's shown us some incredible ZVP. And we're going to see some KT players sneak around the camera over there. So
Yep,
I thought they were about to walk through.
Trust and Leenock trying to get around. I think like the first week they actually walked straight in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's why I gave advance warning, because I was like, I don't know if they're going to walk through. Anyway, I think that...
But yeah, Dark did beat Stats in the SSL finals.
Yeah, he did, and like he would beat Stats again, no doubt, on Dust Towers, but I feel like Dark is one of your anchor players because this is the all-kill format who actually can get multiple kills and secure multiple wins, so you don't want to be sending him out this early.
Yeah.
He's one of the players where I look and I go, okay, and some people would say, I don't think Innovation comes out this early because he's a big anchor. I feel like Dark actually fills that role much more because he doesn't have as many weaknesses.
We have to remember, there's Sue. I keep forgetting about Sue.
Sue is here as well, and he's actually got excellent ZVP, and how Sue is normally used in these finals is to stop streaks. Because he's great at doing all-ins and timing attacks in any matchup, and he makes them work a lot of the time. So Sue's also a viable option. I mean, anything goes here.
On him. I mean, it's like that's just a testament of how stacked SK Telecom is a team. We've got players like Sue, who's a multiple-time GSL finalist. So,
well, let's see who it's going to be. There's so many options for SKT.
Oh, it is Impact.
Impact. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's like 8 viable players tonight, and Impact is one of them. I bet SKT fans sitting at home going, there's like one guy who's like, I hope Impact plays today. He's so good. I know he's good. He doesn't get enough time. He's played one time this season. He won one game. That's it. Or he lost one game, rather. Excuse me.
Zerg versus Zerg. I remember that game.
And like, it just goes to show SKT will show the depth of their roster. They have these players because they can trade. If he wins versus Stats, then loses to whoever comes out next.
It doesn't matter.
It's a positive trade for SKT overall because of the depth of their roster.
And you have to consider that Impact did qualify for, I believe it was the SSL. So obviously he has a lot of form riding behind him. I Love OV and the coaching staff of SK Telecom T1 must have a lot of faith in him to send him out in this playoff situation.
Now, I think it is very important to make sure that he does end the streak of Stats because, again, KT Rollsters wins in postseason. They have 30 of them in this. Oh, okay, now the voters came out.
So I think all the SKT fans in the crowd finally realized that we've got to beat the KT people on Twitter. So SKT win, 68% hashtag. You guys can participate at home as well.
But seriously, twice as many of the wins for KT Rollster have been based off of the all kills. 9-4 all kills in total between these two teams. Do not let Stats get out of control. Do not let him get that momentum. Impact has to stop him here. Let's jump into game number 2. See if he can do it. All right, over here in the bottom left, in red for KT, it is Stats up 1-0.
And spawning on the opposite side of Dust Towers at the top right, it is Impact for SK Telecom T1.
Most famously known for his time on the team Axiom.
He was also on that State of Play documentary.
That's right, and he was the player who was kind of like his family said, well, you've been doing this for a long time, you have no results, maybe it's time to quit. That was kind of his storyline in the State of Play. He was actually on the team Slayers for a while under the ID Miso, if I'm not mistaken. No, that was when he was on KT briefly, was it not?
No, he was on Axiom under the ID, or he was initially on Wongjin Stars, and then when Wongjin Stars dissolved as a team, Coach Ryu, who's now the KT coach, recommended him for Axiom, and then he joined Axiom, changed his name from Makia to Impact, and then once Axiom dissolved, he joined SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, that's his story. I knew that he had some sort of relation with KT Rollster, so looks like it was actually the coach that was recommending him there. That's right, actually, now that, yeah, that all comes kind of back together when I think about it. Because he was one of the most hyped players on Axiom, because it's like, this guy has a big history in StarCraft 2, even though he was a rookie player.
And when he joined Axiom, everyone was like, who's this guy? Who's this Impact guy? And the only reason why he was on the team was because Coach Ryu, who's known for being that ex-Slayers coach, recommended him to Total Biscuit and Elimely, and then they picked him up, and then he went to international tournaments and did all right. No major tournaments wins, but performed pretty well for the team.
And now, I mean, he's one of those players that exists that is like the pure definition of SKT T1.
He's like a squad player.
Like,
he's a squad player.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this guy and I'm like, well, this guy has played one game this season. We're about to go to round 3, okay? So 2/3 of the season is nearly over. He's played one single game, and he's playing against a player who was a Star League finalist and has an incredible record, 8-3 in Pro League. But they're like, no, he's got the best practice partners in the world. He's got Su to practice with. He's a great Zerg, and we're going to use him here on this high-stakes match because we're smart enough. We know what we're doing. That's SKT.
And Impact's just playing this completely straight up, going for that third hat trick, getting speed behind it, and Stats is actually deviating from the normal. He's actually getting a proxy, not Citadel, Twilight Council.
That's right, we all played a lot of Brood War back in the day.
Yeah, I'm too used to saying Citadel of Doom, but Twilight Council, guys. And I'm curious if he's gonna get a Dark Shrine after this.
I'd say it's pretty likely based on the placement. And also the fact that he leaves the probe there. That doesn't always necessarily mean you're going to proxy a Dark Shrine when you leave the probe there, because it could just simply be that you don't want an Overlord to see your probe going from a weird location that you leave it there. But I'd say my money's on Dark Shrine here. It's going to be a pretty early rush to it. And there it is. There's the Dark Shrine. So this is a funny thing to do, but this is something that Artosis likes to make fun of me for, as I always say, when you're already up a game in a series and someone is coming out to snipe you, that's when you do the cheese, because it messes with whatever they've got planned. Like, Impact is like, okay, if he wins, who knows, I might not even play today if we beat Stats in the first game, but I've got a sick build prepared for this map specifically, especially in game 2, where you're the one who knows your opponent, they don't know who you are, they can't prepare for you, you've got a special build plan, and then they just cheese you, and you're like, well, whatever I'd planned no longer is valid. The thing I spent a week practicing for, well, not using it anymore. It's out of the water.
Well, I have no doubt that this build here from Stats is just developed for any Zerg that would have been sent out here for SK Telecom T1, regardless if it was Impact, Dark, or Su. But we see here...
This is like unscouted, by the way. This pylon is in a great position. This is such a smart build for Stats, and
he's expanding behind this as well, so
yeah, this is not like
confident.
It's not an all-in per se. I mean, it's very aggressive, and he's even going to make a forward gateway for faster rallied warp-ins. He could actually do a follow-up attack from this too if he does enough damage. There's only 6 links.
He's going to scout the proxy gateway, but he's not going to scout the... Okay, he sees the warp in, but he's going to...
Oh, does he see the blur? That's the question. Yeah. He must know something's being warped in here. And it's so slow without the gateway, it will finish just barely in time. But he needs to get spores up. He starts a lair, but he needs spores.
Yeah, he has no spores
Did he not see this? I don't think he saw it, GTR. This is a big problem.
Like, if he splits these Dark Templates, it's going to be all over. There's no way he can get a score up in time. These drones
look at his face. Oh, 2 spores on the way. He needs to get on that spore with the DTs. He's going to target this hatch down. I like that choice. They're actually just going to go for drones here.
I don't think, because Stats is taking that third base, there's no reason to go for the spore. He just needs to take as many drones as possible and get the advantage. He's even got to get this front expansion here. This is so bad for Impact.
This might actually be game-ending. I mean, he's down now 14 workers. The DT will survive. This hatchery, I think, is very high chance it goes down. Actually, no, he still needs to get a spore up. He lost it. Hatchery goes down 100%.
He's got to be able to snipe these queens as well. That's huge.
This is game over. Make no mistake, there's no way to come back from this one. He's got 32 lings on the map. That's all he's got.
He's going to try a ling drop, but I think Stats has enough units back at his main base that's going to be able to defend from it.
He can warp in DTs at home to help defend it.
Yeah.
There's no Overseer near here. I mean, yeah, he may kill a few probes, but he will never, with 8 lings, be able to do the damage that Impact just sustained himself from Stats' DTs.
Okay, well, the lings are dropped here at the main base, and Stats, this is just way too many hits here from Stats. There's no way that Impact's going to be able to provide any sort of impact to that economy of Stats.
Now, the Overseer, the first one, is morphing now, so he can't stop that third base from being remade. And he's not even going to try for it because he knows, like, okay, this should be finished around now. 22 kills to 2. I'd say that's approximately 11 times better, but the fact that he killed the hatchery as well means it's more than 11 times damage that he just did there. So the fact that he also has the Twilight Council means he could actually follow up with Adept attack speed, potentially, do an Adept attack. Like, there's so much that he could do. Scouting the Spire would be very critical information. He's got 3 sentries, so I would expect to see a hallucination go out there at some point. Because that may be one way he gets back in. If the mutas don't get scouted, you know, it can get a bit messy.
Yeah, but you have to also remember that Impact is only working off these 2 bases, and those queens were killed, so there's not really too many injects onto those hatcheries, which means there's not too many mutas that could do a punishing blow to stats.
Right. He has 300
how far
gas.
behind he is.
Yeah, he has 300 gas, and he's got like the gases up in his natural, but he's not even long distance mining from them. Roach speed and +1 for roaches not going to be what is going to save him, I'd say here. He's 40 supply down, or 30 supply down. I swear I can do math.
Here's another drop as well, but I think Stats can just easily do a warp in and defend from it. And yeah, we just see a very nice bulky army here. Oh no, the Overlord gets killed. That is so bad for Impact.
That's over, man. It's over.
Here come the mutas, but there's 2 Archons with his army
5
composition.
mutas alone, 3 Archons, even 4 Archons.
Like, even just 1 Archon is enough to deal with these mutas. And you have these Zerglings as well. The Zerglings and Mutalists are just going to get eaten up by these Archons.
And he only has 20 Lings and 2 Roaches, the saddest 2 Roaches, the twin Roaches that were never meant to be. He can make cannons at home because guess what? He hallucinated Scout, like I mentioned before, because he knows that, like, it's the only way he can lose. He's got 3 cannons coming up. Charge, you know, not going to be that great versus Banelings, I guess, but I mean, he's got that going for him as well in just a second.
Well, let's see how Stats deals with this Baneling warp in. Nice force fields. Oh my god, the Archons is doing so much splash damage to those Banelings as they funnel through between the force fields, and this game is over.
It is certainly over, GTR, and suddenly Stats is on a win streak. GG! 2-0 for KT Roaster, and this is what SKT needs to be afraid of. When you're down, or rather when you're ahead in the series and your opponent's got a plan for you, because you throw that plan into the water and you say, hey, I know you had X plan, but now you're going to deal with DTs, and you're going to transition from that, and then what you transition from that with is not what you had originally planned. And in this case, you just simply won the game.
That game was very depressing if you were watching that as a Zerg player.
Oh, no doubt.
That is like the worst nightmare, is to see the warp in of the Dark Templars, but have no detection for it, because you get so greedy just staying there onto that hatchery tech. And you also have to remember that a lot of the resources Dark invested in were into getting those Overlords out, getting the drop upgrades, trying to do that Ling multitasking, but it just didn't work out for him when you get hard counted just like that.
Yeah, he didn't have spores up. You know, he saw the pylon on the gateway, and maybe he was thinking it was an adept timing or something. Despite the fact there were no units there, he didn't see the blurs, and his spores were just too late. And, you know, his sponsor there says someday, and I feel like that's kind of been the story of Impact throughout his entire career, is like he's been trained and groomed by top-tier coaches all his life, all his pro gaming career for moments like this, and today was not his day. And SKT probably, to be honest, had faith that he would be able to beat Stats, but his defeat here does give an advantage to KT Roaster, and Stats